Hello, this is AstrologerCoach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming new moon in 18 degrees of Aries, which will be exact on April 7th at 7:24 a.m. East Coast time in the US, which is also New York time, or 4:24 a.m. Pacific time, which is the West Coast in the US, and also LA time. Now, this is a new beginning, new moon cycle. And this also ends eclipse season, hooray. The last 4 weeks, or probably more than 4 weeks, have been pretty intense for all of us because there have been two eclipses in a row, and this new moon ends this season. And so we're starting to see things a little bit more clearly. We're getting the answers to things that maybe we were feeling uncertain about. Our consciousness upgrade is complete. And so we can now move forward and take some actions on the new moon intentions that we set at the time of the solar eclipse in the beginning of March. Now, this is also the second of 6 supermoons that are going to be happening this year. So again, with a supermoon, there's just a sense that it's more powerful, it's more potent, the energy, right? And with the new moon in fast-paced, enthusiastic, courageous Aries, we're definitely being asked to connect to our personal goals and to get very clear about what we want to create for this new moon cycle. It's a very action-packed energy, action-oriented energy, and the focus is on ourselves. And we tend to do first before we think. And that's just a tendency with the Aries energy. It's a little bit impulsive, but we do have a tremendous amount of energy to our disposal. And so we definitely want to move fast. We want to sprint ahead, right? Now, Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, is currently stationing in Sagittarius, meaning that it's exalted right now, the energy of Mars. And it's getting ready for its 2.5 months retrograde phase, which will begin on April 17th and will last until June 29th. And so because the energy of Mars is exalted right now, right before it goes retrograde, we are being more aware of the message that Mars has for us. It has to do more with needing to tap into our courage, into our passion, step into the unknown, take initiatives, assert ourselves, deal with our anger in healthy ways, and also needing to see things a little bit differently possible because it's happening in Sagittarius. So our perspective, our life perspective is we're getting sort of a sense of what our life perspective is all about. Now, we may not be able to put the pedal to the metal this month or next, especially once Mars has gone retrograde after April 17th. But we do get a chance during the retrograde phase to re-examine our actions. And we do get to take a look at what our actions are based on. What do we do and why do we do it the way we do it? And we can backtrack and just see, are we actually walking our talk? Are we actually in alignment with who we are, with what we feel passionate about, with, our main forces, our inner gut forces, are we in alignment with that? Now, some questions you can ask yourself during the time of the station and the retrograde that might bring some clarity is that, are you doing things that are in alignment with your highest nature? And are you following blind dogmas, or are you present to the impact that your actions have? And maybe also your anger, right? Because anger is connected to the Mars energy, and the higher vibration of anger would be assertion, to assert yourself, to stand in your strength, in your power, right? Now, because Mars stations so closely to the Saturn placement in Sagittarius, which, by the way, Saturn is kind of stationing right now as well, but it won't be for very long. It's actually already retrograde. So the both of them, Mars and Saturn, are a part of a T-square with Jupiter in Virgo and Neptune in Pisces. And so we're being asked to really remain focused on, you know, where we see ourselves going, what we see our lives, our life philosophy. Yet we also want to remain flexible. We want to make sure that we're staying fluid as well as focused. And also pragmatic. Saturn is very much about being practical, you know, doing what works. So being pragmatic, but at the same time, we want to remain visionary because, again, it's in Sagittarius. There's a Jupiter component there as well. So we need to be able to see the bigger picture as well with this T-square. Now, one thing that's really key with this T-square is communication, observing our inner dialogue as well. So there's a bunch of questions that I put together which I think are really, really valuable to ask for the next 2 to 4 weeks, which is, what are you saying to yourself about life and the world around you? And again, with these questions, you can just sit with these questions. You don't have to answer them right away. Just be with the question, right? What are you not communicating that needs to be said? Are you quietly judging others or yourself? And what component does impatience play in all of this, right? So sometimes the judging that we're doing comes from a sense of impatience or from a sense of not trusting the divine timing of things, right? So again, sit with these questions. And what might be possible if you brought compassion and kindness towards yourself and others, right? So that's really a important component here with this T-square as well, right? And so really observe, you know, how do you communicate or not communicate? You know, what do you say to yourself? What's your inner dialogue? These are really important components with this T-square. Now, self-care and keeping your heart and mind open could really make a huge difference to your experience for the next 4 weeks with everything that's going on, not just that T-square, but also with what we're going to be talking about next, which is the new moon is making a conjunction to Uranus in Aries, and that's part of a square with Pluto in Capricorn. Now, this Uranus-Pluto square, we've been dealing with that for quite a while, you know, since 2012, maybe even 2011 already, right? And that Uranus-Pluto square is sort of like starting to part, but it's still within 2 degrees, so we're still feeling that very strongly. And whenever there's a lunation, like a new moon or a full moon that connects with Pluto or Uranus, we start to feel it even stronger. So with this new moon, because the sun and the moon are connecting to Uranus, that Uranus-Pluto square becomes more emphasized. And so it underlines the message that we're ready for the next big step on our path. And to take, you know, to really take a leap forward, to take a leap of faith. And it takes courage to leave familiar territory, of course. So it's really about taking a leap of faith. Uranus symbolizes the desire for freedom, for equality, most of all for progress. So we're more aware of these things with the new moon being right on top of Uranus. But it also, you know, with the Uranus in Aries aligning with the new moon, it really asks us to break away from whatever keeps us from stepping up our game. You know, we're being more aware of what is keeping us in a rut. Why are we not moving forward? Why is there not progress in our lives, right? So shifts need to happen, and they're happening everywhere, right? So if you look around you, you can see how things are shifting everywhere. And so it's time to develop some courage and awareness to see, where do you want to step up and out? So just ask yourself that. Where do I want to step up and out? And if I made a really big leap of faith, where might I land if I'm able to do that? Again, it takes courage, right? But this new moon is very much about giving us that courage. Now, with the square to Pluto, of course, we also need to take a look at what's underneath all of the stuff. You know, so it's not just about the idea and the vision that we have for freedom and for progress. There's also a need to go deeper within and see, okay, what's happening, what's brewing underneath all of that. So Pluto is the planet that really helps us to see these things, right? It helps us to get in touch with what's the deeper aspects of ourselves, and what's authentic and what's not authentic, what works, what doesn't, what feels empowering, what doesn't feel empowering. So because Pluto is stationing right now as well and is also exalted, just like Mars, that brings an extra intensity to this process for the next 28 days. And Pluto really shows us, where we give our power away to other people or to things, other things in life. And also it shows us where we abuse our power, right? So it goes both ways depending on, which spectrum of things you're more comfortable at. Sometimes we're more comfortable with giving our power away, and sometimes we're more comfortable with, suppressing other people or disempowering other people. Whether we do this consciously or unconsciously, that's another question. But it's important to be aware of that nevertheless. So questions that you can ask yourself right now with this Pluto station and that Uranus-Pluto square, what structures no longer empower me in my life? Structures that I have in place, or structures that I'm building for myself, for my future, for my long-term goals. What are some of the things that are not empowering me right now? And what are you most aware of in this moment? Because Pluto station brings sort of like a focus and awareness to ourselves to let us really be with what's currently so, right? So we're more aware of that. And what might break down over a long-term period. So anything that we're building right now, or everything that we have already built, that can have a breakdown, or that could not be strong enough to consist or to persist long term, we need to take a look at that as well and see, like, if that is that really something we want to align ourselves with or be with, or maybe we need to change something, transform something, make better structures, more authentic structures, things that are more in alignment with our long-term goals, right? So take a look at what might be a breakdown over the long haul. Now, since we're dealing with a lot of retrograde phases with planets this month and next month, keep in mind that retrogrades are all about gaining inner clarity and connecting to the energies from within. So it's a more intuitive way of working with the energies, right? So Mars is going to go retrograde. Saturn is already retrograde. Jupiter is already retrograde. Pluto is going to go retrograde as well. So we have a lot of retrograde planets that we're dealing with. So it's important that we really keep the focus more on ourselves, on our inner selves, and check in with our inner compasses, right? So there's an inner compass that we have. So rather than looking to the outside world to what needs to happen and what we need to do, check within, go inside, right? It is also gives us a chance during the retrograde phases to see what works, what doesn't work in certain areas of our lives. And we can take stock, we can take stock and look back to see, okay, what have we been doing so far? Is this working? Is it not working? Look to see what needs a do-over, right? Or at least to reassess, where we're at, how far we've come, what has not happened so far, right? So retrograde phases are really important phases because we need to take stock. We need to go within, right? We can't always be focused on the outside world. We can't always be moving forward. There is a time for both, right? And it's healthy that we have both. Now, with the new moon in Aries, we're very capable of going beyond what's familiar, what's comfortable, what's customary, right? So this gives us sort of like an advantage to really step up and out. And so here are some questions that you can ask yourself for this new moon. So what is my vision? What is my vision for these next 28 days for my life? What do I want to create right now, right here, right? And what needs to change so that that can happen, right? Because a lot of times there are things in our lives that hold us back, that we're holding on to old ways of being, where there are certain fears in place, because we are creatures of habit. We are creatures who like comfort, right, as a human race. So it's important to take a look at that. What are some of the things we're holding on to out of fear of losing our comfort, out of fear of losing our safety zones, right? And this is the time now with the new moon in Aries to step out and up. You know, the highest expression of Aries is when we lead others by example and by inspiration. It's that other people follow us because they see that we have courage, that we have enthusiasm for life, that we're not afraid to be ourselves. And other people want to be a part of that. So as best as you can, you know, tap into the core of your being, your vision, your purpose. You know, it's really an essential part of our collective journey right now, of our individual journey right now, to really get connected to who we are. You know, be an agent of change, but be yourself. Be your authentic self. Being authentic is very important in this day and age. You know, have the courage to step up and out. You know, the time is now. The place is here. You know, that's what the new moon in Aries wants to say to us. You know, it's now. It's here. Now, one thing that's really important also with this new moon is, you know, let yourself be awake, but also allow yourself to embrace all of who you are. And I always call it the good, the bad, and the ugly, because, you know, there are parts of ourselves that we love, that we adore. There are parts of ourselves that we don't like so much, right? That feel kind of icky to ourselves, right? But it's important to embrace all of it, you know? Embrace your humanity as much as your higher self. Embrace your animalistic, instinctive nature as well as your intuitive, divine nature. All of it is you. It's all you, and it's all perfect. The more we reject parts of ourselves, the bigger the separation that we experience between us and other people. The bigger the gap we experience in the world, what gets reflected back to us. The bigger the shadow that we're creating, right? The shadow part that grows when we don't embrace ourselves, when we reject parts of ourselves. So remember that true self-empowerment and true self-authenticity comes from loving all of who you are. Not just the parts that are socially acceptable, not just the parts that you like yourself, right? That you are okay with, right? Now, if you have an ascendant or any personal planets in 16 to 20 degrees of Aries, Libra, Capricorn, or Cancer, then you're certainly going to feel this new moon more strongly. And also, of course, you know, you want to take a look in your birth chart, you know, if you don't have personal planets or points in those degrees or signs, you want to take a look at the house placement in your birth chart and see, you know, where does 18 degrees of Aries fall in my birth chart? What house is it in? What area of life does it affect, right? Because that's the area where you may need to have some more courage this month, where you're being invited to really step into, you know, something new, into your courage, right? Now, if you're not clear on how to apply that in your birth chart, there are two things you can do. You can watch my video, How to Read Your Birth Chart, which I definitely recommend. You can email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write recording in the subject line, and my assistant will send you that video with some handouts. But also what you can do on top of that is you can join my monthly forecasting forum. I'm doing a monthly forecasting forum every time there's a full moon. We're going to be coming together and we're going to be talking about how to apply what's happening currently with the energies, how you can apply that to your birth chart. So if you don't have a birth chart yet, watch my video, How to Read Your Birth Chart, and it will tell you how to get a birth chart. And also, you know, bring the birth chart with you when you come to see my monthly life casting forum, so we can apply some of what's going on in your birth chart, right? So that brings me to my announcement that I want to make before we talk about setting intentions for this month, because of course it's a new moon, we're planting new seeds, right? So there are new moon intentions that we can set. So join me for the next monthly forecasting forum on Friday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. East Coast time, which is also New York time, or 4 p.m. Pacific time, which is also LA time. This is a 90-minute webinar, and it will be live on the full moon in Scorpio, on the day of the full moon in Scorpio. So if you're interested in aligning yourself with the upcoming energies, then this webinar is definitely for you. There's a $24 fee. You can register for the webinar right now on my website at AstrologerCoach.com. Just go below the video on Sagittarius in Saturn in Sagittarius, and then you will see right there, register for the monthly forecasting forum. You click on that link, and there's all the information about the webinar. You can also join just via a recording. If you don't have time to join live, you will receive a recording within the next 24 hours of the webinar. So just pay your fee, register, fill out the form, and it's all you're right there. You're registered. Now, I also want to say that everybody's welcome to join. Everyone, no matter whether you're beginner or intermediate, advanced, or pro, feel free to check in, because it's interactive, so you can share, you can talk about your own experience, whatever you've been feeling as well. And of course, I'll be talking about what's coming up and how we can all apply that in our own charts, right? So register again at astrologercoach.com. Fees $24, and I hope to see you on April 22nd. Now, you can also sign up for my newsletter or receive my weekly forecast via email. The newsletter, I will make announcements just like about the monthly forecasting forum, or anything that changes in my business, or any new deals that I have, for the month or for a particular time period. So feel free to sign up for my newsletter. Feel free to sign up for the weekly forecasts. Those I send out once a week. The newsletter goes out twice a month. And you can email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write weekly forecast or newsletter in the subject line, and then we will add you to the appropriate mailing list, okay? Whichever you prefer, whatever is good for you. Now, let's talk about setting some intentions for this new moon, which is a very powerful new moon because it's in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, because it's a super moon. So we definitely want to be setting some powerful intentions and for this new moon cycle. And the best time to do that, and the most potent time to do that, will be right after the new moon becomes exact, and not during a moon void, of course, phase. So this means for this particular time, anytime between 7:24 a.m. and 10:56 a.m. on April 7th. That is New York time. And then we have a moon void, of course. And then again from 2:10 a.m. on April 8th until 5:49 a.m. on April 9th. Okay? So all of this is New York time. So if you live in a different time zone, just plug in those New York times into a time zone converter. You can find that online. Just Google it. And then you will find out, how to apply it to your own time zone. However, if that's too complicated for you and you don't want to do that, which I totally get, then just join me on my Facebook fan page or on my Twitter page, which the links will be underneath this video. And just join me there, because I will be posting at the time when it's the most potent time to set the intentions. I will be posting, set your intentions now, and then you can just do it at the time when you see that post pop up, right? Now, for more information about setting new moon intentions, feel free to go to my Facebook fan page and check out my notes sections from your computer. Unfortunately, it's not visible from a phone or from an iPad. I don't know why. But from the computer, if you're on your computer, go to my Facebook fan page and check out the notes section and just look for setting new moon intentions, and then you will get a whole beautiful description of how to do that. All right? Now, if you have any other questions, especially general questions about the new moon or about eclipses or about, anything to do with astrology, feel free to email me at Sonja@astrologercoach.com. I'm always happy to answer general questions. If you do have a personal question, however, that requires of me to take a look at your birth chart, then definitely book a reading with me. Because I want to make sure that I can honor my time and also make sure that I answer your question fully and satisfactory. All right. So to book a reading, you can go to my website as well at astrologercoach.com and just click on the link that says, services, and and just see what's available. There's lots of different stuff available, everything from like a 25-minute reading to a 2-hour reading. So whatever is in alignment with you and whatever is needed right now for you, check it out, and then just add it to the cart right there on my website and fill out the online form at the bottom of the page as well. All right? So have a fantastic new moon. Make fantastic, good intentions that are powerful, that are in alignment with yourself. And I will be back in a couple of weeks when we're talking about the full moon in Scorpio. All right, have a good one. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.